Welcome back to Building a Fighter. My name is
Whoa, whoa,
Dr.
whoa,
Austin.
whoa, whoa, whoa. This is a freestyle. We don't do the intro on freestyles.
Eat a dick.
You're ruining the vibe already. Oh
It's
my
it's a,
god.
it's a, it's a vibe. All right, Alex, what are we talking about?
Oh man, I don't know. I had my kids compete for the first time ever in Freestyle and Greco this weekend, and that was an experience.
Yeah, how did
Yeah,
that
it
go?
it happened. No,
Yeah,
I'm actually really
they
proud of how
wrestled.
they. I am really proud of how they performed. They did a really good job adapting to the new rule sets. Just a couple times we didn't really understand what was going on, despite our
I like that
chronic,
you said we.
despite our chronic going over of the rules of practice. But no, competition hits different, man, and it's good for guys to get out of season competitions. I had to still break some kids, and I don't know what this is about wrestling. Um, well, I know what it is, but
I don't
there's
know what this is. Actually, I do know what this is, but
I
I'm going to let you
do
guys figure it out on your own.
right exactly, but wrestlers take themselves so seriously. Like even in the off season, like I
Yeah,
still
that's
had
true.
kids that are like super upset about how they wrestled, how they placed, how it's like, dude, you're doing something you've never done before. You've never wrestled Greco in your life, right? We're trying exclusively new shit, right? And yeah, that guy's a tough wrestler. He beat you, but he didn't go outside of his comfort zone once,
I was about
right?
to say something real dickish. You know who says that?
Losers, yeah.
Losers.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
But who gives a shit how you do at this tournament? That's not
No, dude,
what
I
it's
I
about
get
at
I
all.
agree with that 100%. Even after my comment, and I didn't used to. The only reason why I switched is that there's somebody that I respect the fuck out of. I think he's the best wrestling coach in America, Angel Cejudo, and that's how he thinks. He wouldn't even let his own son start wrestling until 13 because he didn't want him to start he only lets him do 5 competitions a year right now. Like he's getting into high school, and obviously Valiant is different
Damn.
because it's just wrestling. They're not even allowed in the Arizona Interscholastic, so they don't do high school wrestling. They just wrestle national tournaments, um, and like Fargo and the U.S. Team trials and shit. But he was so focused on making sure that if his son is gonna get into this sport, this great sport, he better fucking love it,
Yeah.
and he to fall in love with that, not just fall in love with the competition aspect of it, because that breeds, like, that's almost like the similar Cale Sanderson
Yeah.
philosophy, where it's not really about winning, it's about going out there and being aggressive and putting points on the board and having fun and taking risks,
Well, I
which,
like that approach a
not to
lot.
pivot too far, but
Sure.
I think the number one determinant of a successful wrestler, the difference between a D1 wrestler and a D3 wrestler like us, is somebody that has a relatively low risk aversion. They're willing to take the risks that are going to score them points.
Well, yeah, and then you compound that over time, and you learn which risks are worth it, right? You learn better and better
Yeah.
um, percentages on your risks, but
But, well, hold on. But the only way that you get that willingness to take risks is to have the mentality of, if I lose at this fucking tournament, it's not a big deal.
right,
Like, if I lose at a summer tournament where I'm going out there to try new things, it's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world if I take a bronze at a fucking summer freestyle tournament when I've wrestled freestyle 6 times in my life. I
right,
went out there to try new shit, and trying new shit is going to allow me to take risks and try to figure out how I fit into this sport in my own personal way.
sure, yeah, and I mean it's a time and place thing, right? Like obviously, there's time and places of wanting to win, but the approach in and of itself can't be winning oriented, right?
Yeah.
That's a fairly, I think,
In,
given
until
because
you get to the highest of levels.
sure, and
Until
then
you get
there
to elite high school, college, D1 wrestling.
time and place, but that super unbalanced focus on winning, especially at such a young age in wrestling. Like I've I've had to bite my tongue a lot recently. Like I've been kind of campaigning for wrestling at the school and trying to get a lot more kids out and kids out and kids out and like talking about youth and club wrestling. And it's not like I used to be of the mindset, well, like you'll learn like life lessons, you'll get a lot out of it, you'll get this and that, and it's like now I've pivoted to like No, there are a lot of toxic wrestling cultures out there. Like, yeah, you absolutely should be kind of weary about what club you send your kid to go wrestle for,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's frustrating in and of itself. And it's beginning to change, but I don't want. I mean, wrestling will never be like other sports where like we're just going to play t-ball and whatever happens happens, right? Like there's still consequence. Like that's what separates combat sports and a lot of other sports is there's physical personal consequences,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
In other sports you lose at a basketball game, you lose at a baseball game, right? Like yeah, your ego is going to be hurt a little bit, right? And your team lost. You lose in a wrestling match, you might have got beaten up for 7 minutes and it's all on you. There's
Yeah. It's
no
fucking personal.
scapegoat. Right. So I think that sets wrestling apart enough. We don't need the extra on top, the hammer down coach, the yelling, the chronic cutting weight, the um, like quite honestly, like physical abuse that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So
I want to push back a little bit though, because like I don't disagree that it gets too far a lot, right?
sure.
But I mean, my club in Illinois was known for the toxic shit. Like Gomez Wrestling Academy was known for the relatively toxic shit.
Yeah.
Um, and I've seen some shit, been through some shit, and but it I will say I learned life lessons and I learned shit about myself that I'm very proud of now and have gotten me to this point in my career.
Yeah.
I know for a fact I wouldn't be as successful of a person right now if I didn't go through that shit. If I didn't learn those lessons, and they might. I mean, there's no way for them not to be toxic. Like
Yeah.
for it, that sounds terrible, but like there's no way for them not to be toxic for me to learn how to suffer and how to go through shit. Like starting a business fucking sucks, bro.
Yeah.
Right away, starting a business is so rough because you don't know what you're doing. You're learning on the fly, and you're basically trusting that the rest of your life's income is based around the first 3 years of can you make this business, yes or no,
Yeah.
essentially. And I don't think I would have been successful on that side if I am successful, but at least I think it's becoming a success now. Both of our businesses, where I don't think I could have done that and done that as well if I didn't have those experiences of learning how to suffer through shit when I was a kid.
Yeah, but it's a fine line, right? Like, where can we get that? And I definitely believe it's possible to get to that, like that benefit, that suffering, that pain. Like, absolutely, pain and endurance and suffering, like through sport adversity. Period. Like, has to be a piece of the recipe, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's enough of that that we can find without really fucking kids over, right?
Well, and that's where I agree with you. It goes too far a lot
Right. And
because
so
for
there's
every
always
one
yeah.
of us, there's seven of the people that couldn't handle the pressure and broke.
Right. And well, I'll tell you even just a story from practice today that we had. We were doing a freestyle Greco practice, and a lot of it was review from the weekend and fixing these and this little mistake. And like one of the biggest mistakes, and it's super common, like on our gut wrenches, we're not staying tight enough, right? We're getting
Yeah,
the butterfly grip, but we're not pinching our elbows hard enough. Like we
yeah,
had probably a success rate, I told the kids, of like 15% over the weekend, right? On our gut
cool.
wrenches, it could have been as high as 75 or 80% if we fix this one little thing, which is just tighten down on your elbows and squeeze the life out of our guy, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
super straightforward, simple stuff. And then we corrected it. We practiced technique. We went through our whole practice, and like pace was pretty good. Attitudes were up. We played some games. We did this and that. And at the end, okay, last little bit, we're gonna do a little bit of conditioning at the end. Okay, we're gonna do a gut carry. So I don't know if this is common, right? So
Like an actual gut carry, like you are in like a straight lift situation. You're lifting them off the ground. You're walking with it.
no. So it's almost like a partner carry or buddy carry, except instead of jumping on like a piggyback ride, you just put your hands around a waist and hold on like a gut. You're almost like hanging off their butt, and then the
Oh
partner
yeah, yeah, yeah.
walks,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
and then the
Okay.
partner kind of walks and waddles. So I'm
Yeah,
holding
yeah.
on to
And you
my
always
gut.
walk. You always end up on like the floating ribs.
Right. And so you're
Yeah.
trying to, and it takes a lot of like squeeze and grip to hold yourself up there. Otherwise, while your partner walks, you just slip and fall to the ground.
Mm.
Right. And so we're doing this conditioning drill, and it gets pretty freaking hard. Like we're doing at a decent clip. We're adding in some like positional holds and stuff. And then it got to the point where everybody is cheating on this drill, right? They would put the gut in, and then the partner that's carrying would grab their hands and hold the person up,
Yeah.
right? They would help their partner keep on the gut. And at that point, it's like, now it's time to get a little pissed. And I did get a little mad, and I like stopped the room. I like pretty much yelled at him as like, this is bullshit. Like, you're willingly going away from the hard work just because it's getting hard,
Damn,
right? This is
can you swear at kids at public school?
as long as there's not in the administrative room. Um, but I told him like, this is bullshit. It's one thing to fail and fall, which I accept. Like if your grip fails, you fall and then you have to get back up and go. Like that's fine, whatever. But to just cheat and get around the hard work so that you can get it done, or so that the pain stops, or so that whatever, it's like that's the key that we worked on today. That was the only thing, squeezing and holding the gut. And like, and now when it comes hard, when it becomes like something you will actually experience, you quit, or not even, you don't even quit, you decide to cheat,
Right. Yeah,
right? And so
that's even fucking worse.
I laid into him a little bit, and our practice ended at 5, and I was like, if I see one more kid doing that, we're doing this till 6. I will keep you an hour, and I'll talk to your parents, right? So it's like a little bit laying down hammer, but the moral of the story was like, there's gonna be some hard shit, and I want you to learn how to address that and face that, hopefully through sports and hopefully through wrestling at a young age. That way, when there's hard shit in real life, we have at least a little bit of like analog experience.
Yeah, like Rogan says it. He's like, the hardest thing to happen to you is that the hardest thing to ever happen to you is the hardest thing to ever happen to you. And he
Yeah.
says it in a context typically of like people that come from privilege aren't
Yeah.
able
Sure.
to, they think that a stubbed toe is the worst thing that's ever
Yeah. You
happened.
can't
And
conceptualize a
then there's
struggle.
somebody homeless right on the outside, right?
Or
But the exact same thing can apply, that same saying can apply to this situation. Or if you've never been through struggle, you don't know how to adapt to it. You don't know how to respond to it.
yeah.
If you don't put yourself in not just mentally physical, like mental, not mentally physical, not just mentally stimulating situations and
Yeah.
mentally struggling situations, but also physically.
Yeah.
That's where exercise comes in. And I've said it time and time again on here. I think that's where wrestling shines with the youth, is that it is a physical struggle like no other. It's a brotherhood.
Yeah.
You ever see somebody out at like a bar and you just see him and like there's just something about him. I know he was a wrestler, not cauliflower
yeah.
ears even. Like
Yeah.
you just know he was
Just
a
got the
wrestler.
demeanor about him. Yeah.
And you always, instead of putting the chin up, you put the chin down in the sign of
Yeah.
respect as you walk by. Like there's something about that you've went through a similar shitty struggle
yeah.
that is going to make you a better person, and you got to respect it.
I have never understood nor gotten the like chin up, chin down thing. It's not my
I
jam.
always say chin up is like what's up. Like you just say that, I'll just do it to everybody. But if I go chin down like a nod, then that's a respect thing.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Caveat, but I've been tooling around with a couple different like life rules, similar to the practice, but like in the weight room, I've noticed it, and especially in my old age as I get older,
You old fuck.
I've been working out like 90% for mental health more
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
anything fucking physical. Um, but in the wrestling room today, as I was talking to the kids as we kind of came together after the conditioning, like one of the things I told them, it was like the the more you decide to go into the hard work and to do the right thing, the more success in life you'll have, right? Like if you choose to run away from hard work or doing the right thing, like they don't have to be mutually exclusive, but the more you choose and the better you get at that decision every time to do the right thing, to work hard to do this, the more success you're going to happen to have in life, right? And so I think that was a good universal rule. But the other one that I got more out of the weight room as I was kind of going in through some conditioning, and like, I didn't have any conditioning planned in my day or whatever, but it was just like I just needed to fucking go, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever get that feeling. I'm sure a lot of people do, but it's like just this 4 sets of 5 on the trap bar is not going to do it for me today. I need to just fucking put my head down, fucking douse my shirt in sweat and go,
Yeah.
right? And so I was having one of these days, and I was thinking, you know what, I'll be fucking damned if the external uh, situations in my life cause more stress and havoc on me than I cause myself, either in these workouts or
Yeah.
any adversity that I put myself on. So I think that's was a good measure of like, how you're doing in life, or like a good proxy for mental health is like, don't let the external factors in your life cause you more stress than the adversity or stress that you put yourself through.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, and it's at least helped me a lot as far as my workouts. Like, if I'm going into the suck and I push myself super fucking hard and I'm like grinding and I feel like shit during the workout, everything else in my life, all of the stress, all of the shit that, is going wrong or that I'm really worried about melts down a little bit.
That's
Not so
very
fucking bad.
similar to a very big quote that you always used to say.
Sure. Go ahead.
Nobody's going to hate me more than I hate myself.
Oh, no. That was, oh, wow.
That's very similar to something you just said. You just sanitized it and made it a positive, not a
I was gonna
negative.
say, yeah, that seems like the
Because
kinder
that's
way of
that's all
what
that
I
is,
just
right?
said.
Yeah, that's all
Right.
that is, right? You're like, oh fuck, life's beating me down. You know what? I'm gonna go at myself harder.
Well, yeah, I suppose that's kind of funny actually that you brought that up because I haven't thought about that in a long time. Um,
A
but
little bit fucked,
right, it's a little bit fucked, but it's
but
true
it's
too. That's
but it's
why.
beneficial because you're
That's
right. Every time I just put my fucking head down and do something like that, I always feel better after. You
right,
just
and
need to suffer a little bit
you
to feel good about everything else.
amen, you clear it, and that's why all these fucks are doing cold plunges. That's
Yeah,
why Joe Rogan
100%.
forces himself for 3 minutes to get in the fucking cold plunge, and I fucking laugh and this
Bro,
is the hardest thing of
that
my day.
episode was wild.
Oh, him and who the fuck, Huberman.
Yeah, it was Huberman,
Oh,
and
it was hard to
Huberman kept
listen
like trying
to.
to give all these different things, and Joe's like, "Well, if you don't do it, you're just a bitch.
Well,
If
you're
you
a
don't do it, you're a
bitch.
pussy.
Just like,
Like, you're telling me you can't do 3 minutes in cold water in the morning?"
how about I
I'm like,
can fucking do it, but I don't want to? How
"Yeah,
about how
you're not
about we
required
realize
to."
how about we realize that fucking decision that we can
Yeah,
all make? Oh
but
shit,
that one was wild. I
dude,
had to turn that one off.
that was kind of hard to listen to, but yeah, that's why like people are going into the cold plunge and like, can I make myself do this hard thing? Which it's such a weird thing to think about. Or whatever in my personal training woes or whatever I think about, we have artificially created labor for ourselves, right?
Yeah,
We've in
because our jobs are so fucking easy
as
physically.
a society, yeah, we've outsourced any and all like physical labor. I shouldn't say any or all, most or a lot of,
Yeah, yeah.
and so people have to artificially re-implement activity and movement back in their life, right? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
100%, there's a need and a good service for that, but I'm just like, why don't we just like go out and do something like,
Yeah. Go
instead of
play
this
spike ball
hour,
at the park.
yeah, instead of this functional fitness hour-long workout that, yeah, it makes you feel better and is super, scientific, whatever. It's like, go cut down a fucking tree.
Hmm?
Go cut down a tree and chop it up into little fire piece logs, right? Tell me that's not hard, fucking hard work, right? Like, and that's a little bit of an like a robustness approach we've taken to some of our high school football
Mm-hmm.
workouts, like towards the end, or we're doing like work capacity, or even as a warm up. Honestly, we'll load like 315 on the sled. It's like, move it from point A to point B 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of fucking awkward. You have to handle it, and like, I don't know. I've been really digging the like awkward strength type of fucking movements.
I've been doing a lot of in my GPP phases with people. I've been doing a lot of just like main lift carries,
Yeah.
where like it's
Mm.
the actual main lift you're doing is you're gonna lift up a 150-pound sandbag and you're gonna walk with it for 30 seconds, and then you get a minute and a half off, and we're
Dude.
just gonna do that over and over again until I say stop.
Jesus, yeah, fuck that, dude. We have it's like, it's not even 100 pounds, like maybe 85 pounds, but it's like a MMA dummy that you strike, and
Yeah,
it's a different one than I've seen though. It's like 6 foot tall. It's super fucking
Jesus.
big, right? It's
Yeah.
big, um, but and it's kind of shaped like the
So it's like a heavy
body.
bag. It's more like a heavy bag than anything.
It's like a heavy bag, but it has like a shoulder and a hip, right?
Oh yeah, 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 I know
Like it
exactly
just
what you're
goes
talking
out
about.
and
It's
in,
got
and
like it's like narrow at the top like a head, and then it's got
yeah,
wide like a cone
yeah,
around it for
yeah,
shoulders. Then it's
exactly.
narrow for a torso, and then wide for legs.
That one.
Got you. Okay.
But it's like 85 pounds.
Yeah,
Pick that thing up, bear hug it, and walk 100 yards.
exactly. Like
Dude,
that type of shit's so fucking hard.
that crushed me in my last workout. And one of my workout partners, he walked about 75 yards. He paused, and like me and a bunch of other coaches like started cheering him on, yelling at him, shit. And then he just kept going. He was clearly pausing, like, fuck, I need to stop. I need to drop it. I need to drop it. But he like fucking he won. He beat that demon.
Yep.
He fucking
Dude, next
badass.
time you got to do it in reverse lift carry.
Oh no, like horizontal.
Yeah, like a reverse gut where you're just instead it'll be horizontal and you'll lift it
Yeah,
up. You
yeah,
just
yeah.
walk
I
backwards 100
understand what you're
yards
saying. Oh fuck
and then
that.
switch the other side, walk backwards 100 yards.
Oh no, stop. That's all we're doing, man. Slaying demons, slaying
Slaying
our
demons.
mental demons.
Liquid death, murder, your
Which,
thirst.
which you don't watch Demon Slayer because you're a nerd.
I don't. You just literally just wasted that potential sponsorship opportunity.
Yeah, right. Whatever. I don't need a $7 seltzer water.
Hey, it's like 250.
I got a pack of my Waterloos for 250. I got 12 of them bad boys.
Waterloo. I'm not a big Waterloo guy. I like LaCroix. LaCroix.
I go to whatever the 3 for 10 deal
Yeah.
is.
I like Topo. Topo's good.
So what you guys get? It's expensive though still.
I think Topo is the best of the like widely available sparkling waters. Like it's
Yeah,
better than Pellegrino by a good amount.
can't say that I've ever took time to think out my
I'm a
opinion
I'm
on
a
this.
big sparkling water guy.
You're
Most
kind of a fucking
almost
bitch.
every water I drink has bubbles.
Hey man, the hardest thing that you've been through is the hardest thing you've been through.
And the hardest thing for me is when I run out of bubbly water.
Fucking bullshit.
Actually, my
Oh man,
fucking rib hurts right now. Oh.
my knee is still not better. What the fuck, Austin? This is some bullshit.
I don't even know what you did to it. What'd you do to it?
I popped my MCL. I think it's my MCL and meniscus.
Wrestling?
Yeah. So what I came out the back on like through the middle on an Iranian, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like turning into the guy, to like cover from the top, and I just wasn't even thinking about it. And like I was essentially putting him on his back because he's a dumb little high schooler. And like at the same time, like I started turning him, he like wrenched the other way and turned my like full knee flexion, but then turned my heel super laterally to my body.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, and then my upper body was twisted
Yeah.
the other way. So it was a big pop and whatever. But that was probably 5 weeks ago, and really
And you've
inflamed.
done no rehab and gotten worked on
I've
zero
done
times.
stuff. I've done stuff. I haven't.
Yeah, what have you done?
I got a half-assed opinion from you and a half-assed opinion from the
I don't even
athletic
remember
trainer
talking
at my
about
job.
this. So,
Well, that's your fault. No, I got a couple tests done, and that was what I was told was MCL or meniscus. I've done a lot of single leg step downs. I've done
okay.
um, like real low level plyometric stability work. Um, what else? A hamstring. I've done 1.5 million hamstring curls.
Okay. So you got to start
Um,
adding in lateral glute work as well as like tibial rotation work. Because
yeah,
so what?
I was say tibia rotation might help, but like it's fucking strong and stable. Like the literally the only time it hurts is whenever I go into like knee flex dogges.
Right. Well, but that's what I'm saying. So you got to find a way to offload the knee joint when it's in that state, because that just means that was my last case today. That's why I was fucking late to the podcast. Was
You
that shit?
slut. You slut.
But it was wrestler knee pain, medial aspect, and we figured everything out. The only thing that could reproduce any symptoms was just a straight valgus test, nothing else, muscle testing, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But what's that tell us? That just tells us there's too much pressure on a passive structure. The MCL is a passive structure that's holding things in place. So we need to use an active implement to try to offload that passive structure. And that's just load up the hip and then try to make the knee rotate the way it should so that there's not as much stress and as much strain on that passive structure. So it's just, if it's a passive issue, we need to use an active solution type of
Well,
situation.
repetition, intensity.
I would say like just base level. How thick of bands do you have? Do you have like a fucking smelly belly hip circle?
Yeah,
Like a thick one?
like a fabric one. Yeah,
Okay. I mean, I'd say like
like Mark Bell status.
how much turf do you got?
Fucking enough.
What's the length? Like 40 yards?
45.
Yeah. So I would just go. I go 20 outs, so 40 in total, or you could just go all the way down,
You're a
like a
fucking
lateral walk.
savage. You're a savage.
That's what I'm
Fuck
saying.
you.
Like you,
I
well, you
like
have such a high work capacity that the only way that that'll be fixed is if you actually get to some sort of progressive overload or some sort of said principle. Like if you just keep it low level, you're not
sadist.
actually gonna do anything.
You're a fucking sadist.
I know. Well, I'm
Yeah.
telling you to do it. I'm not
I
telling
suppose that
myself to
makes
do it.
sense. I suppose that makes sense. I like even like just 2 weeks after I did it, like it was super sore walking or doing anything else. But then like I could also like I had gotten in one of my fucking moods and I did like a 220-pound single leg squat.
Yeah, you pushed it past the threshold.
But it was fine. It didn't hurt. It was all fine
Yeah, until when?
until I wrestle and get into the knee valgus position.
Yeah, exactly.
Exclusively the thing I want to do, which is
Yeah,
grapple, fucks it up.
yeah. But so, anyways, banded
All right,
lateral walks,
I'll do
single
a
leg hip
bunch.
thrusts,
I'll do a bunch of that shit. I
but
hate.
not dipping into valgus,
I've done
tibial
many
cars,
root bridges.
screw home TKEs. So it's like a rotational TKE where you got a band up or band lower, and you're actually instead of just a straight one, straight back. Spanish squats.
I understand.
I know, but the more I say, the more likely that something's going to happen because I'm just going to keep talking at you. I just want your knee to feel better because I'm going to see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, what are we gonna do?
I don't know. You said you want to go to Meow Wolf.
That would be fun. Yeah, I'd definitely go to Meow Wolf. Want to hike?
Yeah. My buddy said we could stay at his place downtown if we end up downtown and wanted to do something late. So
let me articulate the amount of downtown I want to do. Fucking zero.
downtown. Isn't Meow Wolf downtown?
No, not really. You can skirt by downtown off the highways.
Yeah,
No, Meow Wolf is not downtown. And maybe go on a hike. Go some hikes. Hike Meow Wolf. We fucking here for 3 days. 3 days? Yeah, we'll be fun. We'll have fun.
Thursday night until Sunday.
May work out. Hit open mat.
Yeah, hopefully this rib feels better. Otherwise, your boy ain't rolling.
Okay, well.
But I can watch.
Schworries. No schworries.
Yeah, dude. But
Feel
outside
like,
of that,
yeah, we're a little bit out here.
well, fuck. I just went through a whole. I mean, that might have been the most useful podcast of anyone we've ever done. I just went through a whole clinical reasoning thing for medial knee pain. That might be the title. There's a
But
lot of
nah,
bullshit, and then went through knee pain.
But nah, we talked about youth wrestling in the beginning, so
Yeah. The youth and their knees.
the youth and their knees. What the fuck does that mean?
That's the title of the podcast.
Nah, well.
But anyways, Alex, since
You'll
you
think
wouldn't
of a
let me do
better
an
one.
intro, you're doing the outro. Give it to me.
Peace out, y'all. Alex Friedman.
Austin Shane.
Do 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 do.
Oh, I'm leaving that in there. That's the outro. Goodbye, everybody.